Welcome to Oil Drop Podcast. Oilers Talk with Darryl and Stephen.
Welcome back to the Oil Drop Podcast. I'm Stephen. He's Darryl. This is episode 7, week 7 of the 2025-2026 NHL season for the Edmonton Oilers. First bit of business from this past week. Troy Stecher was claimed off waivers by the Toronto Maple Leafs, nicknamed the Nurse Whisperer. Your thoughts on that, Darryl?
Yeah, hopefully he gets some playing time for the Leafs. I think his road might be close to being over, but there's some more years left potentially on him with the Leafs, and hopefully he can find a way to get into that lineup, which shouldn't be too hard. The Leafs have been struggling quite a bit. So.
And dating back to the nickname I said, Nurse Whisperer, that's sort of a funny thing, but you can't deny Nurse played good minutes with Stecher, and even though he's been playing well with Jake Woolman lately, you gotta hope it's just one of those little things that we don't end up missing later on.
Yeah, that's been the Oilers' biggest problem for the last however many years, trying to find someone to play with their most expensive defenseman. Now it's Bouchard, but trying to find someone to play with him, and so it always seemed to be a guy like Regula or Emberson, Kulak, some of those guys on the bottom end that were trying to find chemistry with him. It seemed like Stecher had something there. He played a more defensive game, and so for Nurse, he's not an offensive defenseman, he's not a defensive defenseman, but he needs a defensive guy to keep him accountable, I guess. So that's something that he could do pretty well.
Not that I want to compare Nurse to Matthias Ekholm, but I've always thought he could be like a solid two-way guy, and that's what he's supposed to be. He's not an offensive defenseman, but maybe the big contract got to his head, when he signed it, because who says no to $9.25 million, right? But we miss the version of Nurse that could just hit people all the time.
Well, McDavid did say no to a lot more money, but there's something to be said about being a leader and understanding your value. But then also, that was before COVID, and the contract should have been a more team-friendly deal if the numbers would have kept rising like they were supposed to. But obviously, when that deal got signed, it was quite a bit of handcuffs for the team. There were a number of defensemen that were signed at that point too that didn't really turn out either. So yeah, it's a tough situation. We'll blame it on COVID, but really, Darnell can't play with an offensive guy like Bouchard. He has to play with a lesser, more defensive player like Stecher or Regula, guys like that.
That contract back then had more to do with the market value increasing at the time. It was Seth Jones got that contract. Zach Werenski got that contract. I mean, they're more productive than Nurse, of course, and Heiskanen. And the COVID bubble of 2021, when it was just the all-Canadian division, Nurse got those points where you could warrant $9.25 million because they were playing against Ottawa almost all the time that year due to COVID, and Ottawa was just such a terrible team that year.
Yeah, they won 9-0. Like they were pretty tough games to watch for a young and up and coming Ottawa team.
Yeah.
Those games obviously have changed now. Ottawa is quite a bit better than they used to be, but yeah, I don't know. Like those seem to be just games, just like the Sharks now. Everybody gets a point those games. So.
Next order of business, Matt Savoie has been promoted to the top line with Connor McDavid, and Isaac Howard is in the AHL now.
Yeah, Savoie's been playing with McDavid, and with Carolina he played with McDavid and Hyman. So I don't know if that's a showcasing showcasing him for a trade, or if they're trying to build up his value. But there's a lot to like in his game right now. He's playing well with McDavid. He's more of the defensive player on that line. So it's good.
I kind of figured when the season started that Savoy would get bigger opportunities sooner than Howard because he had experience in a couple of NHL games last year with the Oilers, and Howard is just new to the franchise. I would have still liked if he got more minutes regularly, but uh, go to Bakersfield. You'll be useful there. He got 2 assists in his first game as a Condor.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm trying to find how he's any different than Jeff Skinner. How they're playing him any different than Jeff Skinner. I mean, he's not playing a lot of minutes when he was up here with the Oilers. And so, that's what I thought at the beginning of the year, that it would just be another thing where he wouldn't be able to prove himself, and he doesn't have the veteran status that Skinner had. So he was playing 6 or 7 minutes a game. And then when he goes to the Condors, he can really build up some of his confidence. So.
Right. So reviewing this past week's games, we had a Monday night game against the Columbus Blue Jackets. It was a home win, 5-4 in overtime. They tend to blow leads this season, but then they came back from a multi-goal deficit this time and then pulled off the win.
Yeah, it seemed like McDavid wasn't going to let that happen this time. And Wallman got the lucky goal at the end. I mean, sometimes all you have to do is shoot the puck and it goes in, but this one came off of the defenseman's stick and tied the game. I think a minute left or something like that. 30, I think it was like 30 seconds, but something like that. And so, yeah, Wallman got 2 goals, McDavid got 2 goals, and Roslovic got the overtime winner. And so, good for McDavid putting the team on his back, and not letting that happen again like the week before, where obviously their luck was quite different.
And there were no Colorado games this time around, thankfully.
Yeah, Columbus is a good team. They're not Colorado though, but yeah, yeah, I wouldn't say that Columbus was easy to play. I mean, I think that's the game that Frederick had the fight. It was either that one or the Wednesday game, but yeah, they're a tough team to play.
Yeah, interesting you talk about Frederick because I remember after that aforementioned Colorado game when they asked him like whether or not he needs to fight in order to show more energy. It's like nobody's gonna want to fight a guy who has 1 goal. And then the guy with 1 goal finally fought.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He didn't do much else other than fight, but hopefully he can find his game. We got 8 years of that guy at 3.85 million. Hopefully we can find some value out of that. He also has a no trade clause, so throughout the whole thing, I think, unless it drops off after 4 years. But
Yeah. Even with Olivier from Columbus being so much bigger than Frederick, good on Trent for still fighting. Second game was against the Philadelphia Flyers that started their current 7-game road trip. 2-1 win for Edmonton, again in overtime. Again, Jack Roslovic scored the winner. It could have almost been 2-1 for Philadelphia in regulation were it not for an offside call that was reviewed by the Oilers. We dodged a bullet.
yeah, it was pretty clear on the screen. However, I still don't like those calls. I mean, it's not like he had a running start. He still did stop. So it's good for the Oilers on this point. But yeah, you got to take that stuff out of the game.
I will say one thing. We've talked a lot about goaltending in these episodes. It was 2 straight games, the first game against Columbus and this one against Philadelphia, where Stuart Skinner, made one big stop in overtime, and then seconds later, the Oilers scored the game winner. It's not always about how many goals a goalie lets in or how many saves a goalie makes. It's when the goals or saves happen. If Skinner can have more moments like those two overtime periods and not have as many gaffes like in the Calgary game or in the Utah game, I think he looks pretty decent. But he needs to have more game saving moments like those two overtime periods.
Yeah, and you know, Ekholm is looking better. He's more to form as well. That really helps on the top of the D core. Skinner's game on Monday, he had an 0.818 save percentage, so it's not great. But the second game, it was 0.952. So he did. He only let in one goal against a weaker Flyers team, which they should win those games. But yeah, Skinner had a good week for sure.
And then there was the second game against the Blue Jackets. Uh, Edmonton hasn't won a road game against Columbus since 2019, late 2019. I believe it was October of 2019, if I read that, if I remember that correctly. But yeah, it's been a while, essentially. And it was a 4-5 loss to Columbus. And switching from one goalie to the other, Calvin Pickard is continuing to struggle this season. And he was the goalie out of the two that we were the most comfortable with when the season started.
He did play better in the playoffs, other than game fours, I guess. But Calvin Pickard, yeah, 25 shots, 5 goals. It's not like he was peppered. It's not like he had 45 shots on goal or anything like that. Um, yeah, maybe he's the guy that they replace, but it's tougher because he's only $1 million. So he's a tougher guy to replace than if you decide to trade Skinner at 2.7, I believe 2.6 million. It's harder to replace a $1 million player. And if you put him on waivers, he's getting claimed just like Stecher did. So it's kind of a tough situation on that part.
I mean, 830 save percentage. That's a rough one to defend. I mean, not that Skinner deserves bragging rights either, but when we were talking about key saves a game ago, Pickard could have used one of those saves too against the Blue Jackets.
Well, it is tough to tough to say that. I mean, when you look at who do you want as your backup goalie, Pickard or the guy they just traded for, um, who's the guy that would be a better mentor for Skinner? Or the only way that you really make the call up is if you have Skinner struggling and you want an actual 1A. But yeah, it's not like, oh man, I'm drawing a blank on the name, but his numbers haven't been very good either. Do you remember the guy? I forget his name.
It's Connor Ingram.
Yeah, Connor Ingram. There you go.
And
Yeah.
I don't
So
know. I don't know if I want to rush him immediately because he's trying to get his game back in order too. And then you're asking him to single-handedly fix this issue. I don't know if I would support that.
yeah, I think you just go with the hot hand, and if Skinner can be the guy for now. He is also on a contract year, which kind of sucks for Oilers fans because he's asking for 7 million a year, 6 or 7 in that area. Yeah, and as far as that goes, you don't want to see an 8-year contract and have it turn out the way that Fredericks is turning out right now. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And more players are going to take advantage with the cap going up.
yeah, that's true as well. I mean, 5 million this year, and I think the projection was for it to be 200 million after 5 years or something like that. So it's going up quite a bit, but
Mm.
either way, you don't need to have dead money on the cap either, whether it's you know at goalie or at forward anywhere.
Yep. This past Saturday, They got a 4-3 overtime win against Carolina. Not Roslovic this time. Draisaitl scored the winner, and also a good return for Zach Hyman. Um, we were thinking in one episode maybe he'd struggle a bit because it had been a while, like since round 3 of the playoffs last year. He didn't play, but he looked like he didn't miss a step at all, and he even took a hit in order to get a secondary assist.
Yeah, he got the assist. You know, good, good start to his season. And he played on the first line. He played with McDavid, so he's just kind of that kind of player. He'll jump in and then not miss a beat, I guess. But he is getting a little bit up there in age too, so I'm surprised that he started um, just the way that he did. But I'm really happy for him.
Doesn't mind throwing 11 hits in his first game back.
He did have the most hits in the postseason until he was injured
Yep.
by quite a bit. He's 33 years old, so yeah, not that that matters. 33 is still a good
You
age.
don't know whether or not we would have won the cup last year anyway, but Hyman was a big loss.
Yeah, I mean, when I don't know if you remember the round against against Florida, but they did kind of spank us in basically every game. So
Well, they did. I'm not denying that, but
yeah,
Hyman, but it we did miss Hyman for the
yeah,
physicality aspect and for a
absolutely.
forechecking team like the Panthers.
Yeah, he would have been a big help. And it was such an innocent play that injured him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So starting off this week's game, today or Monday, November 17th, depending when you're watching this, we have the Buffalo Sabres. Your thoughts?
Today at 5, yeah. Buffalo actually had a great game against Detroit where they came back and won. I think Detroit was winning 4-1, and then somehow they messed that up on, I believe that was on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday night. And so they're on a roll too. They just got their defenseman back. Um, and so, they got, yeah, they're a team that could surprise people, but also it's Buffalo, so you really never know.
The Sabres are kind of like the Oilers during the decade of darkness, like before our team got McDavid and Draisaitl. Like the talent is there, but they can't string a winning team together. I think that there is a culture issue in Buffalo, despite the skill that they have. The only difference between the Sabres now and the Oilers back then is that they have better defensemen. Like we would have killed for Rasmus Dahlin or Owen Power. Like even if you don't think they're a playoff team, I don't think they should be this bad.
Yeah, and their goaltending is also not the weakest either. And so they have a lot of young forwards and Tage Thompson, who's one of the better centermen in the league, probably top 20 for sure, but higher than that, I'd imagine. Um, yeah, they have young talent and a mix with veterans. You just think that there's something there that maybe coaching or something, but they're just kind of snake bitten as far as a franchise goes. They
Yeah.
can't seem to get anything going.
So it'll be Matt Savoie's first game against the team that drafted him. And there have been rumors of the Oilers being interested in Alex Tuck if he doesn't resign in Buffalo. So we'll be looking into that as well.
Yeah, I always find it interesting when there's rumors like that. How does a player like that play against the team that he's supposed to be playing for? Maybe he's a tougher player too, so hopefully he doesn't injure anyone. That would be quite the game plan. But yeah, you know, he'd be a big help for the Oilers.
And the next game after that, Wednesday, November 19th, against the Washington Capitals. Other than just watching Ovechkin score as many goals as he possibly can now, I mean, I think the Capitals are the only team I scoreboard watch regularly because I just want to see how many more goals he can score. It's just every time I look at the score in a Washington game and I see Ovechkin, it doesn't have his name there. It's like, oh man.
Another game wasted. Yeah, he's a free agent at the end of the year, but obviously, if he's going to be playing, he's going to play for the Capitals. I'd be interested to see what the new contract will be, if there is one, or if he's going to call it a career towards the end of it. But he's lost a lot of steps, and yeah, the team is still very good. I think it's Spencer Cadbury. I think that's the coach. He's really led them, and yeah, you got an aging decor, but also um, I forget his name, but they're the defenseman they signed last year, Chikrin, and some Connor McMichael. They kind of joke around that he's their Connor McDavid, but yeah, a great young core that kind of came out of nowhere, and then aging veterans that are leading that team. So
There have been rumors that maybe Ovechkin goes to the KHL if he doesn't retire. He could be just like another Yager, where you never stop playing, even if you're not in the NHL anymore. Um, I thought I was going to say something else, but I forgot it there.
yeah, I guess
Oh,
for him, for Ovechkin, what else is he going to do other than play
right.
hockey? It's kind of he's the prototypical Russian hockey player.
Like he was on pace to even score more goals than he did last year, if not for the injury he got earlier in last season. And we applaud him for getting 900 goals now. We applaud him for breaking Gretzky's record. But like I always think, were it not for two lockouts in the last 2 decades and a pandemic, I mean, he would have already broken these records years ago. And we'd probably talk about him being close to getting 1,000 goals.
Yeah, the lockout definitely didn't help because he was in the prime of his career at that point, and then the pandemic. I mean, he's probably lost close to 150 games just because of things that were out of his control.
Yeah.
Not even really injuries, and he hasn't really been injured at all in his career. He's played most games, so
He's a
definitely,
scoring machine and he hits everything.
yeah. And even if you take and give him a goal every other game in those 150 games, he's already at that. Well, he's pretty close to 1,000 now. So yeah,
And Thursday, November 20th, a game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Um, they don't exactly look like the team that was winning those cups anymore, but they're still pretty decent in the standings right now. They're not too far off of a playoff spot. They still have the talent there. Nikita Kucherov also got the 100 assist season the same year as McDavid.
yeah. So for Tampa Bay, I guess at least they're not $9 million in debt to Steven Stamkos. They're a team that could figure that out before they had to sign him, which they took a lot of heat for not giving him the contract originally, but it's obviously turned out better. My fantasy team would love if Braden Point could get going, but just it's a team full of veteran players, and they're still very good. Um, I looked it up actually the other day, and Hedman's actually 35 years old already. So I remember watching him getting drafted, which kind of aged me a lot. But yeah, the team is getting older, but they still have quite a bit of skill, and they're still kind of in their window right now. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't take them lightly at all.
You look at their top four scorers: Jake Gensel, 17 points in 18 games. Nikita Kucherov, 16 points in 16 games. Brendan Hagel, 15 points in 17 games. He might be on Team Canada again. And Victor Hedman, as you mentioned, 12 assists in 15 games. He doesn't have a goal yet, but 12 assists right now. He's looking great.
Yeah, he's their power play guy. Definitely, definitely the same player that he's been for the last 15 years. So, if you can get a first overall pick, I believe he was first overall, and he plays that kind of a career, that's really great for your team.
And the final game of the week, that is Saturday night, I believe, if I can get the schedule back here. Oops.
Yeah,
Hang
against
on.
the Florida Panthers.
Yep. That is the rematch of the Stanley Cup finalists again.
Yeah, for Florida, I love making fun of them, but obviously, no, they are 2 Stanley Cups in, and it looks like they are struggling quite a bit. But they don't have their two best players in
Yep.
Kachuk and Barkov, and so it looks like the contract that they gave to Bennett is not working out right now. But also he's playing in a role that he normally wouldn't be as a first line center. So yeah, the team is probably still going to make the playoffs. And once they have, obviously Barkov can't come back, but Kachuk still could.
Yep.
I think he was scheduled for mid-November, but we're past that now. So I think it's probably mid-December, somewhere in that area where he'll be
I
back.
think it was around December.
Yeah.
Bennett wasn't going to be a superstar when he signed that contract, but it was the Conn Smythe postseason last year that got him the bigger dollars. But maybe he turns into another Leach. I don't know, but I mean, if he's just a solid secondary guy, I think you're happy with that, even with the contract being bad.
Yeah, they still have some really good players, like Lister Ryan, I believe. And there's Lindell, lots of good players, and then the contract they have for I gotta get their team up here, but
Brad Marchand just reached 1,000 points
yeah,
recently.
yeah, Brad Marchand. I guess like the Forsling contract is amazing for that team, and then just their decor is still the same. They're really good decor. But looks like Bobrovsky, he's a free agent as well here. So at the end of the year, they gave away their next goalie, who's actually playing really well for Chicago,
Yep.
Spencer Knight. But they also got Seth Jones in that deal. So it's an even trade because you win a cup with Seth Jones.
Right.
But having Spencer Knight on that team would be ideal at this point.
And that will do it for this week's episode. Join us next week and go Oilers.
Yeah, go Oilers.